Natalie Brooks wrapped her cold fingers around the coffee cup, watching the steam rise and disappear into the morning air. She sat by the window of Riverside Cafe, the same spot where she and Ryan had shared countless conversations over the past 10 years. Outside, the autumn leaves danced in the gentle breeze, painting the sidewalk in shades of gold and crimson. Her phone buzzed with a message from Ryan saying he was 5 minutes away. Her heart did that familiar flutter it always did when she knew she was about to see him. 10 years of friendship, 10 years of hiding feelings that grew stronger with each passing day. She had become an expert at pretending, at being the supportive best friend, while her heart quietly broke each time he dated someone new. The cafe door chimed and Ryan walked in, his smile brightening the entire room. He wore a casual navy sweater that made his blue eyes even more striking. Natalie forced herself to smile back, pushing down the emotions that threatened to surface. "Sorry I'm late," Ryan said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Traffic was insane today."
"No worries."
"I ordered your usual," Natalie replied, gesturing to the cappuccino waiting for him. "You're the best." Ryan took a sip and then leaned back, studying her face. "You look tired. Everything okay at work?" "Just busy with deadlines," she lied smoothly, though the real reason for her exhaustion was spending another night wondering what it would be like. If he ever saw her as more than just a friend, the announcement Ryan's expression shifted, and Natalie immediately recognized that look. It was the same expression he had when something important was on his mind. Her stomach tightened with an inexplicable sense of dread. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something important," Ryan began, his voice filled with an excitement that made Natalie's chest constrict. "You know how much your opinion means to me?" "Of course," she managed to say, gripping her cup tighter. "I'm going to propose to Jessica." The words hung in the air between them like a thunderclap. "Tomorrow night at Moonlight Terrace. I've reserved the entire rooftop restaurant." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Natalie felt her breath catch in her throat, but years of practice helped her maintain her composure. She blinked, forcing her face into an expression of surprise rather than devastation. "That's wonderful," she heard herself say, though the voice sounded distant, disconnected from her body. "You two have only been together for 9 months, though." "Are you sure?" "When you know," Ryan said, his eyes shining with certainty. "Jessica is everything I've been looking for. She's smart, beautiful, caring. She makes me want to be a better person." Each word felt like a knife twisting in Natalie's heart, but she nodded. Maintaining her mask of supportive friendship, "I bought the ring yesterday." Ryan pulled out his phone, showing her a picture of a stunning diamond ring. "Do you think she'll like it?" "It's beautiful," Natalie whispered, her throat tight. "She'd be crazy not to love it." "I knew you'd say that." Ryan reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "You're my best friend, Nat. Having your support means everything. You'll be there tomorrow night, right?" "I need you there." "Of course I'll be there," she promised. Even though the thought of watching him propose to someone else felt like agreeing to her own execution, the unexpected visitors later, as the sun began its descent toward the horizon, Natalie found herself standing outside Jessica's apartment building. She had received a text from Jessica asking her to come over urgently. Despite her emotional turmoil, Natalie couldn't ignore a call from someone she had known since high school. Jessica opened the door wearing an expensive silk robe, her blonde hair perfectly styled even though it was early evening. The apartment behind her looked like something from a luxury magazine, decorated with taste and precision. "Thank goodness you're here," Jessica said, pulling Natalie inside. "I've been going crazy waiting for you. What's wrong?" Natalie asked, settling onto the plush white sofa. 2 glasses of wine were already waiting on the coffee table. Jessica paced the room for a moment before stopping at the window, her back to Natalie. The tension in her shoulders was visible even through the silk fabric. "I need to tell you something," Jessica said quietly, "and you're going to hate me for it." "Jessica, you're scaring me." "What's going on?" The devastating truth. Jessica turned around, and her expression was unlike anything Natalie had ever seen on her friend's face. It was cold, calculated, completely void of the warmth Natalie associated with their friendship. "Ryan is going to propose to me tomorrow," Jessica stated flatly. "He told me this morning, and I'm going to say yes." Jessica picked up her wine glass and took a long sip, but not for the reasons he thinks. Natalie's confusion must have shown on her face because Jessica laughed, a sound that sent chills down her spine. I don't love him, Natalie. The words came out matter of fact, emotionless. I've never loved him. I'm marrying him for his money, for the lifestyle he can provide, for the security his wealth offers. The room spun. Natalie gripped the armrest of the sofa, certain she had misheard. What did you just say? You heard me correctly. Jessica sat down across from her, crossing her legs elegantly. Ryan Mitchell is worth $20 million. His tech company is growing exponentially. Marrying him means never having to worry about money again. It means designer clothes, luxury vacations, a life most people only dream about. But he loves you, Natalie whispered, horror washing over her. He thinks you love him too. He's naive, Jessica said dismissively. He sees what he wants to see. I play the role of the perfect girlfriend. I say the right things, do the right things, and in return, I get everything I want. It's a fair exchange. Fair. Natalie stood up, her legs shaking. You're lying to him. You're using him. I'm being practical. Jessica's eyes hardened. Unlike you, sitting on the sidelines for 10 years, too scared to tell him how you really feel. The accusation hit like a physical blow. Natalie's face flushed with a mixture of shame and anger. How long have you known? Since forever, Jessica said with a cruel smile. It's obvious to everyone except Ryan. Poor Natalie, the loyal best friend, pining away while he dates other women. It would be pathetic if it wasn't so predictable. The impossible choice. Natalie grabbed her purse. Needing to escape the suffocating apartment and the monster her friend had revealed herself to be? You can't tell him, Jessica called after her. He won't believe you anyway. I'm the one who shares his bed, who knows his secrets, who he's chosen. Your word against mine means nothing. Natalie paused at the door, her hand on the handle. Why are you telling me this? Because I needed to tell someone, Jessica admitted, a crack appearing in her cold facade. And because part of me hoped you'd understand. We've both been pretending for years, haven't we? The difference is, my pretending is going to get me everything I want. Natalie left without another word, taking the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. She needed to move, to breathe, to process the nightmare her life had become in the span of a single day. As she reached her car, the reality of the situation crashed over her. She had approximately 24 hours before Ryan would propose to a woman who saw him as nothing more than a wealthy target. 24 hours to decide whether to stay silent and let the man she loved walk into a trap, or to speak up and risk destroying both their friendship and any chance she might have had with him. The autumn wind picked up, scattering more leaves across the parking lot. Natalie sat in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel, tears finally flowing freely down her cheeks. Tomorrow would change everything, one way or another. The only question was whether she had the courage to be the one to change it. Natalie sat on her apartment balcony wrapped in a thick blanket, watching the city lights flicker through the darkness. The clock on her phone read 2:47 a.m., but sleep felt impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ryan's excited face when he talked about the proposal, followed immediately by Jessica's cold expression as she admitted her betrayal. The night air was cold against her face, but Natalie barely noticed. Her mind raced through endless scenarios, each one more painful than the last. If she told Ryan the truth, would he even believe her? Jessica was right about one thing. Ryan was deeply in love. People in love often refuse to see the flaws in those they cherished. Her phone buzzed with a message. Ryan again, checking if she was okay after she had gone silent all evening. She had ignored his previous 3 messages, unable to find words that wouldn't reveal everything or nothing at all. Ryan. Hey, Nat. You disappeared on me today. Everything good? You seemed off this morning. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could end this right now with a simple text. She could tell him everything Jessica had said, but words on a screen felt too impersonal, too easy to dismiss. If she was going to destroy his happiness, she needed to look him in the eyes. Natalie, can we meet early tomorrow? Same place, 7 a.m.? I really need to talk to you. The response came within seconds. Ryan, you're worrying me now. Of course I'll be there. Are you sure you're okay? Natalie, I will be. See you tomorrow. She set her phone down and stared at the horizon, where the first hints of dawn were beginning to paint the sky in shades of deep purple and orange. In a few hours, she would either save Ryan from the biggest mistake of his life or lose him forever as a friend. Either way, nothing would ever be the same between them again. The coffee shop confrontation arrived at Riverside Cafe at 6:30 a.m. 30 minutes early. She needed the time to prepare herself, to rehearse what she would say. The cafe was nearly empty at this hour, just a few early risers grabbing coffee before work. She chose the same table by the window. Ordering a black coffee she knew she wouldn't drink. Her hands trembled as she wrapped them around the warm cup. She had changed clothes 4 times that morning, finally settling on jeans and a simple sweater. Nothing that would make Ryan think she was trying too hard or had ulterior motives beyond genuine concern. At exactly 7 a.m., Ryan walked through the door. He looked tired, dark circles under his eyes, suggesting he hadn't slept much either. When he spotted Natalie, relief flooded his face, quickly followed by concern. "Okay, you officially have me scared," Ryan said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I barely slept last night, thinking something terrible happened to you." "I'm sorry," Natalie said softly. "I didn't mean to worry you, so what's going on?" Ryan leaned forward, his blue eyes searching her face. "Talk to me." The words that couldn't be taken back. Natalie took a deep breath, gathering every ounce of courage she possessed. There was no turning back now. "It's about Jessica," she began, her voice steady, despite the storm raging inside her. "I need to tell you something she told me last night." Ryan's expression shifted slightly, becoming more guarded. "What about Jessica?" "She asked me to come over yesterday evening," Natalie continued, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. "And she told me something that I can't keep to myself, even though I know you're not going to want to hear it." "Natalie, what are you talking about?" "She told me she doesn't love you." The words came out in a rush, like poison she needed to expel. "She said she's only with you because of your money, because of the lifestyle you can provide. She told me she's been pretending this whole time, playing a role to get what she wants." The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan stared at her, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and then something darker. "That's ridiculous," he finally said, his voice tight. "Why would Jessica tell you something like that?" "I don't know why she felt the need to confess it to me," Natalie admitted. "Maybe guilt, maybe arrogance. But Ryan, I'm telling you the truth. She said marrying you means security, designer clothes, luxury vacations. She called it a fair exchange." The accusation Ryan pushed back from the table abruptly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. Several other patrons glanced their way, but Natalie barely noticed. "I can't believe this," Ryan said, running his hands through his hair in agitation. "I can't believe you're doing this." "Doing what?" Natalie felt her own frustration rising. "Telling you the truth? Making up lies about Jessica?" Ryan's voice grew louder. "What's really going on here, Nat? Is this about last year when I started dating her? You were weird then too. This has nothing to do with that, doesn't it?" Ryan leaned over the table, his eyes intense. "You've been my best friend for 10 years. We've been inseparable. And then I meet someone, really fall for someone, and suddenly you're telling me she's using me? Do you realize how that sounds?" The implication hit Natalie like a truck. "You think I'm jealous? What else am I supposed to think?" Ryan's voice softened slightly, but the accusation remained. "Jessica warned me this might happen. She said you might have trouble adjusting to me getting married, that our friendship dynamic would change. She said that—" Natalie felt the trap closing around her. Jessica had been preparing for this moment, planting seeds of doubt long before her confession. "She cares about our friendship," Ryan continued. "She knows how important you are to me. That's why she suggested you help her pick out the dress for tonight, to include you in this important moment." "Ryan, listen to yourself." Natalie stood up, her own voice rising now. "Why would I make something like this up? What would I possibly gain?" "I don't know, Nat. Maybe you don't even realize you're doing it. Maybe you're scared of losing me." "The painful reality, of course, I'm scared of losing you," Natalie shot back, her emotions finally breaking through. You're my best friend. But that doesn't mean I would sabotage your happiness with lies. I'm trying to protect you from making a huge mistake. By telling me the woman I love is a gold digger? Ryan shook his head. Do you know how insulting that is? To her and to me? You're basically saying, I'm too stupid to see who I'm dating. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Ryan challenged. Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you don't trust my judgment. After 10 years of friendship, you think I can't tell when someone genuinely cares about me. Natalie felt tears burning behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. Love makes people blind sometimes. Or maybe friendship does, Ryan countered quietly. Maybe you're so used to having me all to yourself that you can't handle sharing me with someone else. The words cut deeper than anything else he could have said. Not because they were cruel, but because there was a grain of truth in them. She had loved having Ryan to herself, had cherished being the most important woman in his life, even if it was only as a friend. If that's what you really think of me, Natalie said, her voice breaking, then maybe you don't know me as well as you think you do. The breaking point, Ryan's expression softened for a moment, conflict clear in his eyes. Nat, I don't want to fight with you. You mean the world to me. But I love Jessica. I'm going to marry her tonight. I need you to support that decision, or at least respect it, even if it's based on a lie. It's not a lie, Ryan insisted. Jessica loves me. I know she does. I see it every day in 100 small ways. She takes care of me when I'm sick. She listens to my ideas about the company. She makes me laugh. Those aren't things you can fake. Yes, they are, Natalie said desperately. If someone has enough motivation, they can fake anything. And $20 million is a lot of motivation. Ryan's face hardened again. I think we're done here, Ryan, please. Natalie reached for his arm, but he pulled away. I'm going to pick up the ring from the jeweler. Then I'm going home to get ready for tonight, Ryan said, his tone formal and distant. I hope you'll still come to the proposal. Jessica will be disappointed if you're not there. And despite everything, so will I. But if you can't be happy for us, maybe it's better if you stay away. He turned and walked toward the door, leaving Natalie standing alone by the table. As the door closed behind him, she felt something inside her break. She had done exactly what Jessica predicted. She had told Ryan the truth. He hadn't believed her. The desperate plan, Natalie collapsed back into her chair, her mind racing. She had approximately 12 hours before Ryan would get down on one knee in front of all their friends and family and commit himself to a woman who saw him as nothing more than a bank account. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. Jessica, Ryan just called. He told me about your little conversation. I'm disappointed in you, Nat. I thought we were better friends than that. But don't worry, I forgive you. The stress of watching your best friend get married must be overwhelming. See you tonight? The casual cruelty of the message made Natalie's blood boil. Jessica was confident, secure in her position as the chosen one. She had anticipated every move and countered it perfectly. But there was one thing Jessica might not have anticipated. Natalie pulled out her laptop and opened the recording app on her phone. She had backed up all her conversations to the cloud automatically, including the one from last night. She scrolled through yesterday's timeline and found it. The entire conversation with Jessica, recorded automatically by the app she had installed months ago for work meetings and had forgotten to turn off. Jessica's voice came through clear and damning. I don't love him, Natalie. I've never loved him. I'm marrying him for his money. Natalie's hands shook as she listened to the recording. Here was the proof, the evidence that could save Ryan. But using it meant betraying Jessica completely, meant exposing their private conversation to the world. It meant being the person who destroyed someone else's life to save another. She thought about Ryan's face that morning, the hurt and disappointment when he accused her of jealousy. She thought about the 10 years of friendship they had built, the trust that had shattered in a single conversation. She thought about Jessica's cold smile as she admitted her manipulation. Most of all, she thought about Ryan walking into that restaurant tonight, believing he was starting the happiest chapter of his life. Not knowing he was actually stepping into a carefully constructed trap, Natalie made her decision. She saved the recording to a flash drive, backed it up in 3 different places, and then called Ryan. The call went to voicemail. Ryan, I know you don't want to hear from me right now, but please listen. I have proof of what I told you. Real, undeniable proof. Meet me at Moonlight Terrace at 6, 1 hour before your reservation. Just you, no Jessica. Please. If after hearing what I have to show you, you still want to propose, I'll never mention this again. But you deserve to know the truth before you make this decision. She hung up and stared at her phone, waiting for a response that might never come. The clock showed 9:15 a.m. She had approximately 9 hours until the proposal dinner. And everything hung in the balance. Outside the window, the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, indifferent to the human drama unfolding below. Natalie ordered another coffee and settled in to wait, hoping against hope that Ryan would give her one more chance to save him from the biggest mistake of his life. The hours crawled by with excruciating slowness. Natalie sat in her apartment, her phone clutched in her hand, checking every few minutes for a response from Ryan that never came. The flash drive containing the recording sat on her coffee table, a small piece of plastic that held the power to change everything. At noon, she tried calling again, voicemail. She sent a text message, keeping it simple and direct. Natalie, please, Ryan, just 1 hour of your time. That's all I'm asking. No response. By 2 in the afternoon, Natalie was pacing her apartment like a caged animal. She had showered, changed into a simple black dress, appropriate for the evening ahead, and applied minimal makeup. Her reflection in the mirror showed a woman who looked exhausted and heartbroken, which was exactly how she felt. She made herself a sandwich she couldn't eat and coffee she couldn't drink. Her mind kept replaying the morning confrontation, analyzing every word, every expression on Ryan's face. Had she approached it wrong? Should she have led with the recording instead of just her word? But how could she have known he would react so defensively? At 4 in the afternoon, her phone finally buzzed. Her heart leaped, but it was just her mother asking about dinner plans for next week. Natalie responded with a brief message and set the phone back down, disappointment washing over her. The decision to act at 5 o'clock, Natalie made a decision. Whether Ryan responded or not, she was going to Moonlight Terrace. She would arrive early, before the guests, before Jessica. She would wait for Ryan in the parking lot if necessary. This was too important to give up on. Even if he had already given up on trusting her, she grabbed her purse, the flash drive, and her phone, and headed out the door. The drive to Moonlight Terrace took 20 minutes through early evening traffic. The restaurant sat on top of a boutique hotel downtown, offering panoramic views of the city skyline. It was beautiful, romantic, and impossibly expensive. The kind of place Ryan could afford without thinking twice. Natalie parked in the garage and took the elevator up to the rooftop. When the doors opened, she was greeted by elegant lighting and soft music already playing. The entire terrace had been transformed with white roses, candles, and twinkling lights. It looked like something from a fairy tale, which made what she was about to do feel even more terrible. A restaurant manager approached her with a professional smile. "I'm sorry, miss, but we're closed for a private event this evening. I'm a guest," Natalie explained. "I'm early. Would it be possible to wait in the lobby?" "Of course. The event begins at 7. You're welcome to wait by the elevators." The arrival, Natalie positioned herself near the elevators where she could see everyone who arrived. At 6:15, the first guests began trickling in. Ryan's parents, looking elegant and excited. His business partner and several colleagues. Friends from college. Each person she recognized felt like another weight on her chest. All these people were here to celebrate what they believed would be a joyous occasion. At 6:30, Jessica arrived, and Natalie's breath caught in her throat. Jessica wore a stunning emerald green dress that probably cost more than Natalie's monthly rent. Her blonde hair styled in perfect waves. She looked like someone who belonged in Ryan's wealthy world, confident and radiant. Jessica spotted Natalie immediately. Instead of looking surprised or worried, she simply smiled and walked over. "I'm glad you came," Jessica said, her voice loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Despite everything this morning, it means a lot that you're here to support us." "We need to talk," Natalie said quietly. "Not now," Jessica replied smoothly. "This is Ryan's special night. Whatever issues you have with me can wait until after we're engaged. It can't wait. Jessica's smile tightened slightly. Natalie, I understand you're struggling with this. Change is hard. But making a scene tonight won't change anything except how people see you. Do you really want to be remembered as the jealous friend who tried to ruin Ryan's proposal? Before Natalie could respond, the elevator chimed again. Ryan stepped out, and Natalie's heart nearly stopped. He wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, his hair styled neatly. And in his hand was a small velvet box that could only contain one thing. The moment of truth, Ryan's eyes found Jessica first, lighting up with love and excitement. Then he noticed Natalie standing nearby, and his expression clouded with confusion and something that might have been disappointment. Ryan, Natalie said, stepping forward before she could lose her courage. Did you get my message? Natalie, not now, Jessica interjected, moving to Ryan's side and linking her arm through his possessively, but Ryan gently extracted himself from Jessica's grip. Give us a minute, he said to her softly. Jessica's eyes flashed with annoyance, but she maintained her sweet smile. Of course. I'll check on the arrangements. She walked toward the terrace, glancing back once with a look that promised consequences. Ryan turned to Natalie, his expression weary. I got your messages. All 12 of them. Then why didn't you respond? Because I didn't know what to say. Ryan rubbed his face tiredly. I've been thinking about this morning all day. About what you said, about how adamant you were. You're not the type to make things up, which means you genuinely believe what you told me. Because it's true, Natalie insisted. Or because Jessica said something you misunderstood, Ryan countered. Maybe she was joking, or testing your loyalty, or who knows what. Women have complicated friendships, but I can't throw away my relationship based on hearsay. It's not hearsay. Natalie pulled the flash drive from her purse. I have proof. Her exact words, recorded. Ryan stared at the small device, then back at Natalie's face. You recorded your conversation with Jessica? Not intentionally. I have an app that automatically records when I'm having conversations. I use it for work meetings and forgot to turn it off. But Ryan, it's all there. Everything she said about not loving you, about wanting your money, about playing a role. You can hear it for yourself. The choice Ryan took the flash drive slowly, turning it over in his hands. Behind them, Natalie could hear the sounds of guests arriving, the gentle music playing, the clinking of champagne glasses. The proposal dinner was about to begin, and here they stood at a crossroads that would determine everything. If I listen to this, Ryan said quietly, and it's what you say it is, my life changes completely. Everything I believed about the past 9 months becomes a lie. Every moment I thought was genuine becomes a performance. I know, Natalie whispered, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to be the one to do this to you. But wouldn't you rather know now than after you're married? After you've legally bound yourself to someone who doesn't truly care about you? And if I listen, and it's not as damning as you think, if there's another explanation, then I've let doubt poison something beautiful, and I'll never get that innocence back. Ryan, please. He looked at the terrace where Jessica stood greeting guests, looking every bit the excited bride-to-be. Then he looked at Natalie, his best friend of 10 years, standing before him with tears in her eyes and desperation in her voice. My laptop is in my car, Ryan said finally. Let's listen to it together. The recording, they took the elevator down to the parking garage in tense silence. Ryan's car was parked in a reserved spot near the entrance. He unlocked it, and they both climbed into the front seats. The sounds of the celebration above muffled by concrete and steel. Ryan pulled out his laptop from the back seat, inserted the flash drive, and found the audio file. His hand hovered over the play button for a long moment. Before I play this, he said, I need you to know something. If this is real, if Jessica really said these things, then I'm going to be devastated, and I might not handle it well. I might say things I don't mean. I understand. But if this recording somehow exonerates her, if there's a reasonable explanation, then we need to seriously discuss boundaries in our friendship. Because what happened this morning crossed a line. Natalie nodded, her throat too tight to speak. Ryan pressed play. Jessica's voice filled the car. clear and unmistakable. I don't love him, Natalie. I've never loved him. I'm marrying him for his money, for the lifestyle he can provide, for the security his wealth offers. Ryan's face went completely still, all expression draining away. Natalie watched as he listened to the entire conversation, each damning statement building on the last. Ryan Mitchell is worth $20 million. His tech company is growing exponentially. Marrying him means never having to worry about money again. He's naive. He sees what he wants to see. I play the role of the perfect girlfriend. I'm being practical. It's a fair exchange. When the recording ended, silence filled the car. Ryan sat frozen, staring at the laptop screen. Natalie could see his hands trembling slightly, the only sign of the emotional earthquake happening inside him. "Ryan," she said softly, "don't." His voice was hoarse. "Just give me a minute." The aftermath, they sat in the car for what felt like an eternity. Above them, Natalie knew the guests were gathering, wondering where the guest of honor was. Jessica would be getting worried, her carefully constructed plans starting to unravel. Finally, Ryan spoke. 9 months. 9 months of thinking I had found the one. Of planning a future, of falling asleep next to someone I thought loved me back. He laughed, a bitter sound. "I'm such an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're trusting and kind. Those are good qualities. It's good qualities that made me an easy target." Ryan turned to look at her, his eyes red, but no tears falling yet. "How long have you known?" "Just since last night. She called me over and told me everything. I don't know why. Maybe she wanted someone to know how clever she was being. Maybe some part of her felt guilty. I honestly don't know." Ryan nodded slowly, processing. Then he opened the car door. "Come on! Where are we going?" "Back up there." His voice was steady now, controlled. "There's a room full of people waiting for a proposal. They're going to get one, just not the kind they're expecting." The confrontation, they rode the elevator back up in silence. When the doors opened, the party was in full swing. Guests mingled on the terrace under the twinkling lights, champagne flowing freely. Jessica stood near the railing, laughing at something Ryan's mother was saying. The picture of grace and charm. When she spotted Ryan and Natalie emerging from the elevator together, her smile faltered for just a fraction of a second. Then it was back, bright and welcoming. "There you are," Jessica said, moving toward them. "I was starting to worry. Everyone's asking when you're going to make your big announcement." "Let's give them one then," Ryan said, his voice eerily calm. He walked to the center of the terrace and raised his hand. The music softened and conversations died down as everyone turned to look at him. Jessica followed, confusion starting to show through her perfect facade. "Thank you all for coming tonight," Ryan began, his voice carrying across the terrace. "I know you're here because I said I had something important to ask someone very special to me." Jessica's smile widened, her hand already rising in anticipation of the ring. "But plans change," Ryan continued. "Sometimes you discover that what you thought was real was actually just a performance. That the person you trusted was playing a role." Jessica's smile froze. "Ryan, what are you doing?" "I'm telling the truth." Ryan pulled out his phone, connected it to the restaurant's sound system, and before Jessica could react, her voice filled the air. "I don't love him, Natalie. I've never loved him. I'm marrying him for his money." The revelation gasps rippled through the crowd. Jessica's face went from confused to horrified to furious in the span of seconds. She lunged for Ryan's phone, but he stepped back, letting the recording play. He's naive. He sees what he wants to see. I play the role of the perfect girlfriend. I say the right things, do the right things, and in return, I get everything I want. "Turn it off," Jessica hissed. But her voice was drowned out by her own recorded words echoing across the terrace. When the recording finally ended, the silence was absolute. Every eye was on Jessica, whose carefully constructed mask had completely crumbled. She looked around at the shocked faces, then back at Ryan with pure hatred in her eyes. "You had no right," she spat. "That was a private conversation. A private conversation about how you plan to defraud me," Ryan replied quietly. "About how you've been lying to me for 9 months? Defraud? Don't be dramatic. Jessica's voice turned desperate. Ryan, this is a misunderstanding. I was venting to Natalie. I was frustrated about something and said things I didn't mean. You know how women talk, do I? Ryan looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Because I'm realizing I don't know you at all. The woman I thought I loved would never talk about me like that, mean it or not. Jessica's mother pushed through the crowd, her face red with embarrassment and anger. Jessica Marie Palmer? Tell me this isn't true? Mom, I can explain. Explain what? Her mother demanded. Explain how you were planning to marry a man you don't love for his money. Explain how you've disgraced our family in front of everyone. The unraveling? Jessica looked around wildly, searching for an ally, but found none. Ryan's parents looked disgusted. His friends looked angry. Even her own friends were staring at her with a mixture of shock and disappointment. This is your fault. Jessica suddenly turned on Natalie, her voice shrill. You recorded me without permission. That's illegal. I could sue you. Actually, in this state, only one party needs to consent to a recording, Ryan said calmly. Natalie was that party. The recording is perfectly legal. You're pathetic, Jessica said to Natalie, tears of anger streaming down her face. You've been in love with him for years, haven't you? This is just you trying to eliminate the competition. Maybe, Natalie admitted quietly. But that doesn't make what you did any less wrong. Jessica grabbed her clutch purse from a nearby table. I don't have to stand here and be humiliated. Ryan, when you come to your senses and realize she manipulated you into this, don't bother calling me. I won't, Ryan assured her. Jessica's face contorted with rage. She looked like she wanted to say something else, something cutting and cruel. But instead she turned and stormed toward the elevator. Her mother hurried after her, apologizing profusely to Ryan and his family. When the elevator doors closed behind them, the spell broke. Conversations erupted across the terrace. Everyone trying to process what had just happened. The quiet after the storm, Ryan's father approached, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. You okay, son? I will be, Ryan said, though his voice shook slightly. You did the right thing. Better to find out now than after the wedding. His father squeezed his shoulder once before moving away to speak with the other guests. Slowly. People began to leave, offering sympathetic words to Ryan as they passed. Some glared at Natalie, clearly believing she had orchestrated the whole thing out of jealousy. Others thanked her quietly for saving Ryan from a terrible mistake. Within 30 minutes, the terrace was empty, except for Ryan and Natalie. They stood side by side at the railing, looking out over the city lights. I ordered all this food, Ryan said finally. Champagne, a 5-course meal, a custom cake. Thousands of dollars worth of celebration for a proposal that didn't happen. I'm sorry, Natalie whispered. Don't be. Ryan turned to face her. You saved me from the biggest mistake of my life. If you hadn't told me, if you hadn't insisted, even when I was horrible to you this morning, I would have proposed. I would have married her. And eventually, I would have figured it out. But it would have been so much worse. You weren't horrible this morning. You were defending someone you loved? Someone I thought I loved, Ryan corrected. But I didn't really love her, did I? I loved the idea of her, the version she was performing. The real Jessica, the one on that recording. I don't even know that person. They stood in silence for a moment, the evening breeze cool against their faces. Can I ask you something? Ryan said. Anything. What Jessica said on the recording about you being in love with me for years. Is that true?